Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm talking to you about the concept of trust and the application of trust. I've actually already gone into this in good depth in my video, How to Develop Trust in People, especially for TI. So I'll link that in the corner there where you see the little eye emblem. So I'll just kind of summarize that in that video I discussed that we take trust for granted. We don't know how it's supposed to be received, how it's supposed to be earned, or how it's supposed to be given. And of course, boundaries, the pandemic of a lack of boundaries or not understanding what boundaries are, thus having a lack of them, or if we misunderstand what boundaries are, we can have a misdirected attempt at utilizing them. And so that is also not helpful. And I've made a separate video on boundaries also. If you want to check that out, I'll link it in the corner. So real trust is not an automatic. It's not something that we give because we want to believe in a positive reality or a positive opportunity, or because we want to give people the benefit of the doubts because we think that makes us good, open, or kind-hearted people. This is entirely giving your power away. You don't know what you're going to create or attract or manifest having this open, no boundaries approach. So you want to approach trust from a place of neutrality, complete neutrality. And then you make observations, gathering data like a scientist would, in order to bring you to an understanding of what the reality is. And so you'll be continuously gathering data. So your perspective of the situation, of the person or people, it might change. And so you also need to have that openness to learning more as well. Integrating that knowledge, that data that you're continuously inputting into your system. So you observe from a place of neutrality, you bring in the data to your core, and you kind of handle it with your own essence. You mull it around. How does it feel? And you're using your critical thinking to say, what does this mean? Does this make sense? What would make sense? If that does or doesn't make sense, why? And your body is actually a great indicator of truth. It's really hard sometimes for empaths to tap into this ability to use it for good. Everybody is going to have the benefits of their body. Everybody has that communication from their body, and that's very interlinked with intuition. But empaths can oftentimes ignore what they're feeling in their body because they're always picking up everyone's energy and adopting it into themselves. And so it's very hard to sift through what's there to understand what's coming from where or from who. And also it can be quite painful to tune into your body. If you have all of this stuff going on, all of this stuff that you've been absorbing, and you try to tune into your body, it can be too painful that you'll just avoid it and try to just, pretend it's not there. And so you're cutting yourself off from the infinite wisdom of your body. Your body will give you all kinds of signals, and that is your intuition about if something or someone is good for you or not, if someone is trustworthy or not, and why. So you always want to feel into and look at all the details of anything that you're receiving, all that data. You want to look deeper into, okay, why is this like this? Why is this good or bad? And that's where the critical thinking steps in. So there's one misstep that's very common that we make with trust that I want to address today. And that is third-party trust, which essentially is when we have somebody that we trust, whether it's a valid trust or not, whether you've done the process I've outlined to anchor into if it's a true trust, or if you've just kind of openly given that away. But when we have someone we trust, and then they bring in somebody else to the picture, you automatically extend your trust to that third person. Or the person that you trust might even specifically tell you they're a good person. You can definitely trust them. I 100% vouch for them. And so then you automatically, some people might just jump right in and say, if my friend trusts you, then I trust you fully. Some people might only be, they might jump in with both feet right away, but there's definitely a tendency to be swayed positively towards that other person. So you might be able to see a problem with that. One of the problems right off the bat, and that is if you're already swayed, you're in a biased position. You're not able to come to the situation from a place of neutrality, gather your own data, bring it in, analyze the input with your own critical thinking. So now you're actually disconnected from reality. Whatever you're engaging with or thinking about that other person or situation, whatever you're relating to isn't grounded in anything real. Just in a story that's been built up that you've ended up kind of running with in your mind. So the baseline, the foundation points of that story is that that person is good. And then your mind will continuously look for proof that that's true. And it will ignore all the proof that might indicate it's not. So that's you creating your own version of reality right there. So that's the number one reason why you should never trust anybody based on somebody that you do trust telling you to do so. You should never trust anyone based on an association with someone you already like or trust. Like those two people are associated together, the one you trust and the third party. And since they're associated, you're just gonna already have a biased inclination towards that third party person. And this is the number one reason why you shouldn't do it, because you've wiped out your sovereignty. We are in desperate need of sovereignty. It is lacking and we need it desperately. You will always be controlled, manipulated, influenced, harmed for as long as you don't have your own sovereignty. That's to say own sovereignty is redundant, sorry, just sovereignty, which is being the governing system of yourself. Knowing yourself and then claiming yourself and having those boundaries to uphold and maintain that true self. And it is only when you are in that state that you cannot be manipulated. And think about this, we have a world full of manipulators manipulating the world on a large scale. The change that you're envisioning is not going to come by murdering, killing off all the manipulators. It's going to come by you being able to stop yourself from being manipulated, which is one of the reasons why educating yourself on narcissism. Narcissists are the manipulators. If you're a manipulator, you are a narcissist. And we live in a narcissistic society. We have narcissistic rulers. So educating yourself about narcissism, because it's a very specific dynamic and you can really study it and break it down, pull it apart, and learn how to apply it to your personal life and to the world at large for your sovereignty. So you being in such desperate need of, meaning you, that's not to say that you're in such a powerless state, but that is to say sovereignty is something you so deserve. You deserve it. That's why you need it so much. It's who you are, and you deserve to own and embody that. So sovereignty is the number one reason why you shouldn't engage in third-party trust. Another reason, though, is everybody makes mistakes. So your friend or your colleague, whoever it is that you trust, who has an association with someone else or maybe directly tells you to trust the third party, consider that while your friend, your ally, we'll call them, may not be out to do you harm, they might be wrong. They may make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And consider to that, further to that, we all have our personal blinders. We have our personal blind spots. So we might not be able to, your ally, they might not be able to see everything so clearly. And what is relevant to you, the aspects that are relevant to you, you might be able to see them from an outside perspective. Sorry, my camera fell. It was just giving you another perspective. So that was the camera. That was its message to take advantage of the fact that you have a different perspective from your ally so that you can gather additional data that they haven't been able to gather. And if your ally is genuinely your ally, like you've done so much of the true process to give them a deserving trust or a deserved trust, then you can also take this additional data to them and discuss it together. And you can expand your awareness together. Possibly, if the data you're gathering reads to you as this person is not, the third party is not trustworthy, then it depends what position your ally is in, whether they are open to receiving that information. Because plenty of people don't like their illusions shattered, and we form attachments, and it can be hard to let those attachments go. There can be feelings of betrayal that can be, and confusion that can be hard to cope with. So, it's possible that your data might get rejected. So you just got to feel into it in the moment and how to present that and how to handle it. And if your ally just fully rejects, maybe even aggressively, your input, then I'm going to let you know it's probably going to be hard to continue to have them in your sphere, to have them in your arena as an ally. Because then you two are living, especially if you are in some way involved in that third party, or if they're bringing content or the reality of the third party into your sphere, then you two are living in totally different realities and trying to pretend that you're not. And this can be especially tricky depending on what you find out, what your data tells you. If it's a really extreme opposite from what your ally believes, like I'll use an example that TIs can relate to, or NKU survivors who are tuning in can relate to. The extreme would be, this person, the third party, your friend believes the third party is trustworthy, they're good-hearted, they're genuine, and then you come to find out they are an agent, a handler, a Satanist. And, really put that into context of pedophilic, evil, sadistic, Satanist, doing the worst crimes to humanity, upon the worst crimes upon all of creation. You are so evil that they make it their life's mission to appear as not evil so that they can manipulate people. So, many people might be going through that. You guys might be going through this right now. And so think about, having these conflicting realities with someone who was once an ally. It may be difficult. And I just want to let you know, you may find yourself, for your own sanity and for your own sovereignty, and to honor yourself and your truth, you may find yourself parting ways with that ally. But just remember, when you clear out the old, you make space for the new. So when you clear, your sphere of people who aren't resonating with the level of awareness that you've just stepped into, then you make room for people who resonate with that level of awareness, with who you've just become. So now you're opening yourself up to more authentic connections. But also I'll include that you want to really look at and study your allies' reaction if you do bring them contradicting, or additional information, and they're not open at all to discussing it or to learning or to collaborating, consciousnesses with you. Look at their reaction. Is it just that they're feeling emotionally triggered, that the concepts of them having misplaced trust is too overwhelming for them? Or is it that they are trying to manipulate you out of your sovereign thoughts? This can be in subtle ways or overt ways. Subtle ways might be with like new age brainwashing, that's, well, everybody deserves compassion or a second chance. It's these, empty phrases that are applied just so thoughtlessly. Like there's no real backing to their application of compassion or, giving someone a second chance. So if they acknowledge like, okay, so what you're saying makes sense, and this person isn't appearing to be trustworthy, but then they give you something, the response is something really manipulative. It might be, their manipulation might be cloaked in sunshine and rainbows, in false love. Or their manipulation might be their rejection of the information you've brought to them, and their manipulation of you and your sovereign thought might be more overt. They might, totally attack you aggressively, tell you that you're crazy, you are delusional, you're paranoid, you're overthinking things, or they might shame you for, being questioning in the first place. They might try to turn it back on you and say, oh, well, you've just incurred so much trauma, you don't know how to trust people, yada, yada. So all this invalidation and shame. So, look out for that manipulation, because that's indicating who you thought was your ally is also a narcissist and not to be trusted. So the key is, what you want to look for is, does your ally encourage your sovereign thoughts? Are they celebratory of it? Are they grateful for it? And do they encourage your application of sovereign thoughts, while not trying to suck you back into their belief about the third party, their contradictory or opposing belief about the third party? So, while they might say, well, I accept your opinion, but then maybe over time, they gradually try to convince you back into believing what they do. That's also subtle manipulation. Like I said, that might happen over time. It's really insidious. So, keep your spidey senses sparked, continuously. And that's part of trust. Like I said, you're always continuously gathering data for it. And you're open to your observation or your outcome to changing. It doesn't mean that you have to feel like, everything's uncertain and you never know what is what. You know what you know right now. So accept that. That's valid. You will know what you need to know when you need to know it. So in that way, you do have security in yourself. But yeah, we see this application of third-party trust all the time. And it also just continues to fuel the global cult paradigm. Like, you might see something positive in the media and you're like, oh, automatically you're saying to yourself, oh, that's a good person. Now I'm going to believe everything that comes from them. In my camera. That was a signal from spirit. Whatever was going through your mind in relation to what I was saying just there, look into that deeper. The camera falling was a little touch from spirit. It's a little signal for you. What was I thinking about personally at that time? The Q movements. That's something that I'll get into in another video. And it's not so much about whether it's legitimate or not. It's about everybody's approach with it. It's become a cult. Nobody's thinking for themselves. It's this third-party trust that people just blanketly employ. Once they see something that they believe is positive about a particular person, then okay, they deserve my trust. Everything, and keep in mind what you're being shown is also third party. There's someone, they're choosing what to show you, whether it's from authentic intentions or manipulative intentions. You don't get to see the whole picture. You're not directly involved, is what I'm saying. If you're not first person directly involved in something, you have to accept that you don't really, there's going to be a huge limit on what you understand about that, on if you can tell if it's true, legitimate or not. So we really need to reframe how we think of trust and how we apply it. So take back your power, gather data for yourself from a very neutral perspective, take it into your core, feel around with it. You have your intuitive senses through so many faculties. And I've said before that the third eye can be easily manipulated if you're not using the heart as the portal to the third eye. So you want to feel into your body, feel the sensations there because it's tangible, it's real. Less likely to be manipulated. I say less likely because there's energetic weapons, but when energetic weapons, anything coming from the outside into your body that isn't natural and it's saying something's wrong, you'll be able to discern that too. So, your body is going to give you signals if something is good or bad, trustworthy or not. And then tune into the sensations, what they represent to you, and then also double check that against your heart organ itself. It's the totality of your soul. It's your highest wisdom and your subconscious, which is in essence where the intuition lies. And so you want to be asking your body and your heart for the meaning behind the sensations. What do they represent? What are they indicating to you? And just remember that somebody who, you really value their opinion and their perspective, and you feel good about them, they might make mistakes too. So you deserve to make up your own mind about other people. Keep in mind, we are in a world of continual deception, and it's multi-layered. It is so damn complex and hard to sift through. We will all be duped many times over. It's a fact of life. And so, we do our best. We learn from the situations as they arise, as we awaken to deception, so that we can, up our game, up our discernment game to the next level, which will, the deception artists are also studying us and our awakening to learn how to alter their deception tactics to still continue to manipulate us. So it's like we're in boot camp training for discernment. So just accept that, you might not reach the end of that training in this lifetime, but you are still nonetheless gaining skills. And those skills aren't just for you. You need to share them with people. That's how the world is going to become empowered and awakened. Thus, one reason why I'm making this video to share with you. I accept that I don't know everything and that I will be duped many times over. And I understand that everybody else is going through the same thing too, but we're in this together. We're enjoying an awakening together, and we can help each other along the way. So thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your time and your dedication to truth and awareness on all levels. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, comment, and share it. Share it with other people to, help awaken everybody. And remember to subscribe and then click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you'd like to support my work, you can contribute via PayPal. The donation link is in the description box. And also the little logo is there on the home screen for you to use You just click on the logo and it takes you to the link to make a donation. And also for my particular situation, Amazon UK gift cards are actually really valuable to me, as are gift cards for local venues to where I am. So if you can send an Amazon UK gift card via email, my email address is in the About section, or you can contact me privately to work out gift cards to private venues, or excuse me, to local venues. Because basically the Illumi just has me unable to access electronic funds. So that's why the gift cards are useful. So anyways, thank you for your time and your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.